Students, I am Dr. Pratibha. Here we are going to see some spotters related to the flexor compartment of arm. First, you should know the bony landmarks of the flexor compartment of arm. So, number 1, here we would concentrate more on the radial tuberosity and the coronoid process of ulna. These two are important. So, here we will see this is the shaft of the humerus and this is the coronoid process of ulna, and this is the radial tuberosity. Now we'll see there are 3 muscles in the flexor compartment of arm. Number 1, biceps. Number 2, brachialis. Number 3, coracobrachialis. So in the biceps you have long head and short head. So we should know the origin of the long head and short head. Long head originates from, ready? The long head originates from the supraglenoid tubercle. This is the glenoid cavity. So here is the glenoid cavity. Can you see this? This is the glenoid cavity, and the long head arises from the supraglenoid tubercle, and the next is coracoid process. This is called tip of the coracoid process. The tip of the coracoid process gives attachment to the short head and coracobrachialis. So here is the long head, here is the short head and coracobrachialis both. So this is about the origin of all the biceps and coracobrachialis. Next is the brachialis. Brachialis is the only muscle in the flexor compartment of arm. It takes its origin from the shaft of the humerus. So this takes its origin from the shaft, anterior compartment. So these 3 got over. Next question, sub question. So inserting point. So for learning the inserting point, you should know the biceps gets inserted into the radial tuberosity and the brachialis gets inserted into the coronoid process of ulna. So these 2 things you should remember, and the third important one is your coracobrachialis. Thus coracobrachialis gets inserted just opposite to the attachment of, this is the area for deltoid tuberosity. It is laterally placed just opposite to the insertion of deltoid. Immediately you have the insertion of coracobrachialis. So coracobrachialis will not cross the elbow joint. So it stops here. So that will not be asked. The sub question for coracobrachialis is it is pierced by musculocutaneous nerve and continues down as lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. These 2 are the sub questions for coracobrachialis. Biceps brachii, you should identify both the tendon, short head and long head. Short head always attached with the coracobrachialis. These are about the muscles of the front of arm, and the action is flexion. But for the biceps you have, biceps is a powerful supinator. So you should act right, biceps as powerful supinator, and other muscles are flexors of elbow. Dear students, in this video we are going to check only the front of arm, flexor compartment of arm. First we should identify the thumb. From the thumb we will go to the front of arm and identify the muscles of the front of arm. Each muscle has a clue. With the clue you should identify the spotters. Spotter number 1, long head of biceps. You can see the long head of biceps. How do you identify the long head of biceps? You can see the slender thin tendon which arises from the supraglenoid tubercle. It has intracapsular origin. So it is going inside the joint capsule. So that is number 1, long head of biceps. Next comes the short head of biceps. You can see the short head now. See, look at the tendon, it is somewhat flat. It arises along with the coracobrachialis. You can see the coracobrachialis. So whenever you lift, you can see the coracobrachialis along with it. So whenever you lift the short head of biceps, you could see the coracobrachialis. This one is short head. Next is your coracobrachialis. So coracobrachialis, short head has a flat tendon. You can see that it comes from the tip of the coracoid process along with the coracobrachialis. So how do you identify the coracobrachialis? Look at this. This is not a long muscle. It is a short muscle. Another one thing, it is pierced by the nerve, musculocutaneous nerve. Look at this. This is a musculocutaneous nerve which pierces the coracobrachialis and comes out as lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. Okay, so that's about the two muscles, biceps and coracobrachialis. The next muscle is, you just reflect the biceps and touch the shaft of the humerus. The only muscle which arises from the shaft of the humerus from the flexor compartment is your brachialis. So you can see the brachialis. Now the sub questions. Long head and short head together, either we may keep the spotter pin over here, that is biceps, because both the heads together and it is biceps. Biceps continues down and you have bicipital aponeurosis. You can see the flat one, that is aponeurosis, and a tendon, biceps tendon. The biceps tendon gets inserted into the radial tuberosity. So this is very important, radial tuberosity, posterior surface of the radial tuberosity. Next comes the coracobrachialis. Already we have told the origin of the coracobrachialis. Insertion is just opposite to the inserting point of deltoid, opposite to the deltoid tuberosity. Next comes the brachialis. Brachialis is this one, shaft of the humerus, and it goes to the coronoid process of ulna. So that's all. And the important sub question for brachialis is, it has dual nerve supply. Main motor nerve is by musculocutaneous nerve, that is a nerve of this compartment, flexor compartment of arm, and the second one, radial nerve, is just a proprioception. That's all about brachialis. And all the compartment muscles, they do the action flexion, but the biceps is a powerful supinator. That is the main action you should write. That's all about the muscles of the front of arm. Next is the brachial artery. Brachial artery. So this is the brachial artery. Brachial artery is the continuation of axillary artery from the outer border of the first rib. Okay, this is the axillary artery, you can see here, and then down you have the brachial artery in the arm. The bifurcation is at the level of the neck of the radius. It bifurcates into radial artery and ulnar artery. This is the radial artery. Look at the thumb and see the radial artery, and the next one is the ulnar artery. So these two are important. And next is the median nerve. So this is the median nerve. How do you identify the median nerve? It arises from the two roots of the brachial plexus. So you can see the median nerve here. It comes here near the cubital fossa and forms the medial-most structure in the cubital fossa. That's all about the flexor compartment of arm.